Just because you can kill a character doesn't mean you should. Disney.
You're fulfilling your destiny.
I am very mixed about The Last Jedi. There was a lot to love about this movie, but then there was a lot to just dislike. So I'm in this weird state between being really happy with The Last Jedi and being incredibly disappointed. And warning, there are spoilers for The Last Jedi in this review, so if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, probably don't watch this. Oh, also if you're a very sensitive individual. First, I agree that the direction they took Luke in was surprising and really went against the norm. That being said, it still hurt that this kid that lost everything saved the galaxy a few times, desperately searched all over to find his place and learn more about the Jedi, ended his life without a wife or kids, his nephew turning on him, his order destroyed, and him dying alone on a rock. Yeah, he sacrificed himself to save his friends and bring back the spark of hope to the galaxy, but at the same time, I feel a little betrayed with how they handled Luke. And I don't know if that's just me, if other people also feel like that. I don't know, am I being weird? Because I tend to be weird. While I laughed at a lot of his scenes, him throwing the lightsaber over the cliff, him milking the creature and then looking at Rey with that weird face, and him brushing off his shoulder after the First Order went crazy on him, it didn't always exactly feel like Luke. It felt like Disney humor that they add in, similar to their Marvel universe. Humor for the sake of humor, not to progress or add to a character. Now yeah, Luke could have changed over the years, we all do. And again, he was entertaining, but sometimes they went a bit too far with the humor. And not just for him. However, seeing this unsure hero again with a bit of smugness this time was kind of cool. Oh, and seeing Yoda as a Force ghost again was just so badass. I heard rumors that Yoda was going to be in this episode. I was not prepared. They captured him perfectly. That humor, that being that mischief little muppet, it was all great, mixed in with his wisdom. Oh, you want to burn that tree down? I'll help. Yoda's just a straight smartass, and I love it. Now with the Jedi ending. After hearing Luke's reasoning, I understand why he believes the Jedi should end. It is selfish hoarding the Force. The Force didn't belong to the Jedi, yet they were incredibly possessive of it. If you didn't use the Force how they wanted you to in the past, they would kill you or wipe out your people. Luke was right. That just isn't the right way to go about the Force. The Jedi don't own the Force, and this way of thinking has led to so much devastation over the thousands of years the Sith and Jedi have existed. Now here's where I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and I feel like this next part is based on my own feelings of betrayal and loyalty that I've had for a very long time. I don't think Luke was in the wrong at all with what happened to Ben when he was his student. Luke sensed darkness, he went to see what was in his mind, and saw how corrupted he was, and probably his plans with Snoke. Luke told Rey that there was so much more darkness than he had thought there was, and that Ben had already been turned. In a moment of fear and disgust, he turned on his lightsaber to kill Ben, but then it quickly passed. Like, I'm sorry, Kylo, that your uncle sensed what a traitorous piece of shit you were and had a moment where he thought, maybe I should snuff this out before it gets out of control. Yeah, Kylo still had a choice. He wasn't guilty of doing anything yet. Besides going behind his master's back and probably listening to Snoke talk shit about him and already planning on joining him. But Luke realized that and he turned his lightsaber off. It was a single moment of weakness, and Kylo is judging Luke entirely by that moment. And what's bullshit, Luke is also judging himself by that moment. If Kylo would get his head out of his ass, he would see that Luke didn't betray him. He betrayed Luke. Also, Kylo ran off with a handful of Luke's students. Yeah, that shit was planned in advance, and Luke saw right through that. Which undoubtedly these are his Knights of Ren. I mean, think about that. He already had people that wanted to be his knights that were Luke's students. Or at the very least, if they don't turn out to be the Knights of Ren, then people that were so willing to leave Luke. So give me a break, Kylo, on your boo-hoo, my uncle saw through my bullshit sob story. Luke did not create Kylo. Ben was already Kylo. He was sent to Luke because of the darkness inside him, and he was too much like Vader. So his parents were like, hey, help our kid. And Luke tried. Kylo is basically an entitled, spoiled little brat. He is always the victim in his world. Oh, woe is me, my parents were busy trying to keep the galaxy together and I didn't get enough attention. Oh, woe is me, my uncle found out I was a twisted little fuck. I am right with Leia that her son is gone. Maybe I do understand the ending of the Skywalker line. You flip a coin with those guys. One side, you get a crazy, entitled, selfish asshole. On the other side, you get a Skywalker that does great things for the galaxy. But beyond that, Kylo is seriously my favorite character of the trilogy now. I love to hate him, and I feel like that means they're doing a great job with him. He is a unique antagonist that isn't cookie cutter twist my mustache type of villain. He is conflicted, he is out of control. He isn't this super badass that can beat anyone. He sometimes gets curb stomped, but he keeps going. That is way more intriguing than another Palpatine. As well, Luke telling Kylo that Han will always be with him was so haunting. The look in Kylo's eyes when he said that was just majestic. However, back on Luke, I am disappointed Luke didn't go all crazy on the First Order, but somehow in that moment, he was the most Jedi he's ever been. Jedi don't use the Force to attack but defend. He stalled so his sister, the Resistance, could get away and gave them that spark of hope without hurting or killing anyone in the process. That is Jedi as fuck. And he did that from really, really far away with a projection of himself. That was badass. Luke looking at the twin suns as he becomes one with the Force, his mortal adventure ending, was so beautifully similar to his adventure beginning, looking at the twin suns in A New Hope. The music callback was excellent, and honestly, it had me in tears. The music in general was fantastic, but that's per usual. The callbacks, the mixing of the old tracks with new, were all wonderful, and I can't think of a single scene where the music fell off. Okay, on to Leia. I think Carrie Fisher did a much better job in this movie than she did in The Force Awakens, but that being said, there were still some scenes that were a bit off with her, such as the scene where she's in the vacuum of space. Leia using the Force was pure awesome. Don't get me wrong, we've seen Leia use the Force before in the comics and books, but seeing it in a movie, just so blatantly done, was so epic. The CGI was a little hokey though, also she sort of looked like Superman. Maybe they could have picked a better way to show her using the Force, but it was still a really cool moment. Also so touching when Luke stopped cutting himself off from the Force and spoke to Leia. And I really believe he helped her out of that coma. His goodbye to her on Crate, kissing her forehead, was also one of the most touching, heartbreaking moments of the movie. I enjoyed her interactions with Poe and her attempts to teach him what she can before she passes, as it has been set up in the Poe Dameron comic series and other material and nicely shown in this movie. Leia is trying to pass the leadership to him. She realizes she won't be around forever and needs someone to carry on. Poe is too reckless and needs to learn to calm down a little bit though. Something that really bothered me, no one came to Leia's aid when she called out. I understand why, see my State of the Galaxy video for details, but it was still a heavy blow. It showed how much of the galaxy has given up on fighting. Just 30 years ago, they fought against an evil dictator. Why keep fighting? So our family and friends die so another evil dictator can just show up later? I can understand why people might be a little exhausted and afraid. Now, it was pretty hardcore that both Leia and Luke have given up on Kylo. That says a lot. They're both on the, yep, he's gone, train. Although Luke did say no one is ever completely gone. And I believe Kylo will be dead by the end of this trilogy. There have been hints through interviews pointing towards this, and now I really believe he'll be gone. This means this is the absolute end of the Skywalker line. We got 3 generations of Jedi, people. That's it. Luke doesn't have any kids, or so they would have us believe, and Leia isn't fertilizing any more eggs anytime soon. I doubt she really has any eggs left. So when Kylo dies, that's the end of the Skywalker line. And I know some people are happy about that. They want new blood in the Star Wars franchise. I wasn't one of those people, but I'm okay with it, even though I don't like it. I understand why they're going in this direction, and I like their message that you don't need to be of a certain bloodline to be special. Which is the point of Rey. You don't need a legacy, a special heritage, or position to make a difference and make the right choices. Anyone can do it, even a nobody whose parents threw her away like garbage. Also, most of the Jedi besides the Skywalkers were nobodies. They were taken as kids from all over the galaxy. So a Jedi coming from a nobody family isn't rare. Yeah, she's a bit more powerful, but ah well. Though I wonder if Kylo was playing on her fears. Like, he didn't really know who her parents were, which is why he said, say it, and then he kinda filled it in and made her believe what he wanted her to believe. I doubt it, but I would love that twist if in the last episode it was, haha, he was lying to you and you're actually a Kenobi. I'm gonna stop now. Speaking of Rey and Kylo, I loved Kylo-Rey interactions and their storyline so much. Best part of the film by far. Honestly, it would have been even better if she did join Kylo. We've had plenty of hints that the dark side calls to her, and she isn't against going to it. Of course, I think her refusing Kylo was part of what she said to Luke, that despite the darkness in Kylo, he still had a choice. She can have the darkness and still make the choice not to succumb to it, which is what the new generation of Force users need to understand. You can have darkness in you, but choosing not to do fucked up things is what's important. I also want to point out that Kylo has a serious fixation with people saying shit. Say it. Calm down. Some cool mashing up of the originals with this film. Kylo and Rey in the elevator going to see Snoke had dialogue extremely similar to Luke and Vader's talk when Vader was taking him to Palpatine. Even some of the dialogue in Snoke's throne room was similar to Palpatine when Luke was before him. Snoke dying was a shock. I could not have anticipated they were going to kill off Snoke in the second film of the trilogy and now have Kylo in charge of the First Order. But at the same time, even though the twist was pretty cool and unexpected, I'm a little disappointed. What was Snoke's story? Where did he come from? He's been around for a really long time. Why did he want to see the Jedi and Sith ended? There was a lot of opportunity there, and now he just kind of was a generic bad guy. Which maybe was another point by Lucasfilm. Evil dictators come and go. Still would have liked to have more of his story. He's been alive for a really long time. That Praetorian Guard fight, though, straight hot. At first I was thinking, they killed the cool guards too quickly. Then I just couldn't stop grinning like an idiot during that fight. The lightsaber going through the last guard's head, magic. Phasma was another waste. They build her up, they hype her up. Then she sucks in The Force Awakens, quickly lowering the shields. Okay, so then they gave her a book and a comic series that explains that, and she goes back to being a BAM. We're all hyped up about her again. Then, nope. She's dead. Okay. Heroes get lucky. But come on, that woman is a survivor. She is just straight ruthless, if we are to believe her mini comic series and book. But who knows, maybe she survives so she can be even more disappointing in the last episode. Here's the thing, Disney/Lucasfilm. Stop telling us who to love. You did that with Phasma. That was disappointing. And then you did it with Rose. You were putting her in all these interviews. You were hyping her up. Everyone was going, oh, we love her character. She's the best part, blah, blah, blah. Stop. She was just okay. You gotta stop hyping up certain characters because it just makes it that much more disappointing. Stop. You're trying to force a Boba Fett situation. Just stop. Let it happen on its own. The love thing was a bit off, but she did idolize Finn, and life or death situations have led to weirder loving feelings. There was something about their mission that felt so pointless, though. Maybe because it was pointless in the end? We didn't get a lot of Canto Bight, but at the same time, I felt like we got too much. And I'm neutral on the DJ character. I enjoyed his point about people that profit from war. It is a lucrative business to be in depending on what you're selling. And of course, you're gonna sell to both sides for maximum profit. Holdo, I wish I could like you. I really wanted to like you. Reading that Leia novel, I was all on board, and I just did not like you in this movie. I just did not like her nor understand her. Why not tell people what you're doing? I was not okay with Leia's, she didn't want to be seen as a hero. What? Just say she followed the secrecy like during the rebellion, where it was a need-to-know basis. It even says something like that in the visual dictionary for this movie. Why not just say that? And honestly, I didn't feel sad about her death, which makes me feel really bad. Why couldn't Akbar be the one that sacrificed his life? That would have been so heartbreaking and fulfilling. You know, Akbar just dies off screen, but we get to see this new character Holdo make this awesome sacrifice. But from what I've gathered from all the interviews and talks and all that, What they wanted was a strong, badass female character that was also very feminine, going against the trope of the strong female that dresses or acts like a man, and that's why they use Holdo the way they did, which is fine and neat. What I love is how badass her ramming the ship into the First Order was. The visuals, the silence, and then the boom, so epic. If I could watch one scene over and over again, okay, I would watch the Praetorian Guard fight again, but that would be in my top 5 scenes to watch over and over again. That was cool. As for the other characters, loved R2-D2 and Luke reuniting, the language moment, and R2 showing Luke the message Leia wanted delivered to Obi-Wan in the first Star Wars film. Chewbacca was really underused, and I'm surprised he was okay with dropping Rey off to Kylo, who had just killed Han. You know, his really good friend. Maybe part of him, knowing Ben from a newborn, wanted him to come back even though he murdered his friend. C-3PO was around just to be made fun of or yelled at, per usual. I am incredibly excited about the little boy using the Force to pull the broom to him. This means we're probably going to get a bunch of Force users that aren't Jedi in the last episode, and this has so many directions it could go in. This film opened up future possibilities. Yeah, I didn't want the Skywalker line to basically go extinct, but now we have so many stories they can tell. Stories about these Force-sensitive individuals. It opens up a huge galaxy of these people and following them on their adventures. Probably best in comic or book form though. But for now, we can expect in episode 9 we're going to have the Resistance building up again to take on the First Order. Maybe even a time jump. If I'm being honest though, besides that, my most anticipated plotline in the last film is Kylo and him being in control of the First Order. He is so temperamental, it's going to be awesome watching his moves. I sort of feel like Kylo now is what just turned Darth Vader would be like if he took over for Palpatine. Vader had a lot of control issues like Kylo in the beginning, and would likely act in a similar way in his position. I really don't see Kylo holding the First Order together that well either, which makes that part of the last episode really exciting. What are Kylo's next moves? How will he torture poor Hux every time that man doesn't ask how high when Kylo says to jump? This could lead to some massive fun plot lines. Overall, I think the core message of this film is there's always hope. No matter how small the spark, it can still light a fire that burns something down or changes something, which if you think about it, that could actually be for the worse too. But I think this is a message that our society needs, especially nowadays where we seem to be a bit more disillusioned, bitter, and just, in general, not too enthusiastic. So what are your thoughts? I think this is going to be another really polarizing movie where some people love it to death and others just think it's absolute shit. Regardless of ratings or what others say, including myself, make a judgment for yourself on this movie based on what you think and your opinions. Don't let other people bully you into liking or disliking this movie. Oh, and BB-8? Perfect. Thanks so much for watching. Please like the video and subscribe for more Star Wars videos.